Hey everyone, it's Michael, Goosebumps fan. I hope you're doing well today. I have a Things Like Goosebumps review for you for a thing that's probably a big inspiration in some way, or form for Goosebumps and R.L. Stine, and that would be the 1954, I believe. Yeah, 1954 film from Universal Monsters. One of the later Universal Monsters flicks came out. They kind of dominated the market from the 30s to the 50s. Then it was kind of done after that. This is Creature from the Black Lagoon, the first one, 1954. I'm currently working my way through these. Of course, these are great to watch during the summertime. It's spring, but it's hot. It's getting humid in Virginia. So, yeah, this is the re-release of the Legacy packs that came out a few years ago when Dracula Untold came out in 2014. This re-release has the same features and everything else, as you can tell, but the box cover is a glow-in-the-dark cover. I actually bought all of the series, every single one of them that were released as a Legacy pack, again, back in, I think it was October of 2019? I believe it was 2019, either 2019 or 2020. I think it was 2020, actually. Anyway, around Halloween time, they released all of them again for like $5 a piece. Each of them at Walmart. Green, glow-in-the-dark cover. I bought all of them. Even though I already own all of them, I bought all of them again. Glow-in-the-dark covers. What can I tell you? It's so cool having a new cover like that. Anyway, I personally love the Creature from the Black Lagoon series. I love Universal Monsters. I currently just finished on Friday night. I watched the second film in the series, Revenge of the Creature from 1955. Also excellent. I think that personally, that film and the third film, I think are better than this movie. As much as I love this one, this really kind of put Universal back on the map again after its success with the Frankenstein franchise and the Dracula series, which was only 3 of those, not including like House of Dracula. They had the crossover films like, you know, Frankenstein meets the Wolfman and so on and so on. I love these movies. I love Universal Monsters. I love the Mummy franchise. I love so many of these things. And to see them not get the respect they deserve nowadays is kind of a shame. It really just puts me in a sad, depressed state because they deserve better. They really do. This film is a great example of that. I think if you love Goosebumps, you'll probably love Universal Monsters if you give it a chance. Especially if you have kids right now, you're getting into Goosebumps and whatnot. Start them with Universal Monsters. Just take my advice on that. Get them with Universal Monsters. Get them to watch a little bit of that, and I swear, I promise, they will probably get into Goosebumps easily, because Goosebumps has more of a humorous side. These have some kind of humor in there, but it's mostly scary stories without the gore and the nudity and so on and so on. No foul language if you don't want your kids knowing that. You know, it's pretty neat. I love that about these. I thought I saw something moving over there. Sorry. That's why I looked over there really quick. I don't know if I scared my own self with my own shadow moving around. I don't know. Anyway, Creature from the Black Lagoon, what is this film about? Basically, a bunch of geologists are working out in kind of the middle of nowhere, like a swampy type of area called the Black Lagoon. I don't know where it's at, but it's like overseas somewhere, outside of the US. A bunch of geologists are working on something, and they actually find a very amphibious but also kind of human arm sticking out of a rock. I really love the flick. I think the creature is such a cool design. I think that there's not really been anything topped with monster movies that really look as good as he does. Of course, the second film, Revenge of the Creature? Yeah. In Revenge of the Creature, the mask and stuff were changed, but this particular movie, he looks great. You can't even see like the tank half the time on his actual body where he's moving around and stuff. It just looks really good. I'm amazed by it. I'm amazed by how they had 2 different people playing the creature. One to play him when he's walking around and stuff, one to play him swimming. And the swimmer, the way he swims is wild and weird, and it looks like a person swimming, but it also, with the creature, it looks very unnatural. They shot a lot of the water tank stuff they shot a lot of the water scenes in a tank, which I thought was cool. That's never really been done, as far as I know, at that time. This is one of the first films to ever do that, if not the first film to do that. To my knowledge, I could be wrong, but there's a lot of swimming in here. And to be fair with you, if you love Jaws, the Steven Spielberg flick, everybody knows about Jaws. It scared people out of the water. This is such a huge inspiration on Jaws. Unbelievably so. You would not believe it. You would not. It's amazing to me, even from the musical cues and stuff, how much this is an inspiration on Jaws. This is basically a bunch of people who end up, when they find that arm, the amphibious arm sticking out, they think it might be the missing link or whatever. I guess in this film I think it's mostly the missing link. A particular man goes back and he finds a scientist that's kind of a professional in this kind of thing, and his assistant that kind of are in love a little bit. He brings them back with him on a team of people. I love the Cuban guy, I think he's Cuban, that drives the boat. I love him. He comes back for the sequel as well. I think that they're just fun characters. I really enjoy them. They're not super developed. It's kind of the 1950s style of character writing, but they're still fun. I enjoy all of them. I think there's a little bit of sympathy to be had with the kind of rivalry that happens between the two main leads. And yeah, it's basically this group of people going back to that amphibious arm location and being trapped by this creature that's kind of stalking them. And this creature has kind of an interest in the female lead, played by, is it Julie Adams? I think it's Julie. Yeah, Julie Adams, who is beautiful, by the way. So beautiful. He's kind of got like a focus on Julie Adams, and he kind of stalks her around. But the creature is something very interesting. He has gills. In the second film, they start calling him the Gill Man, so that's kind of his name instead of the creature. He not only can swim around better than you and I, but he can also get out of the water and climb on the sands. He can walk around in dirt. He can walk on your boat. He can only stay out for a little while, apparently, according to the second film. But he can still do that, and he's still a threat. You're not really safe from him. It's not like Jaws, where you're kind of like, if you're on the boat, you're mostly fine until he starts tearing up the boat. It's not like that. It's, this guy can get out and sneak onto your boat and attack you. Now, I'll tell you one thing, too. The creature, I forgot that he, has this, roar that he does. And I forgot how scary that is. The creature already freaks me out. I love the design of him, of course. It's the big eyes that don't blink, of course, being a mask. I think that's terrifying. But also, I hate fish, for you guys that haven't heard me talk about this before. I despise fish. Something about them bothers me. It's my biggest fear on the planet. I will not go to the beach and go swimming. I love the beach. I just don't like getting in the water. I don't do it. If I do, it's just to get my feet in there, and I stay away from the rest of it. Anyway, my wife makes fun of me desperately on this. Anyway, the creature, the way the mask is designed, he can open his mouth, and then the gills on the side flex out, and it bothers me. There's something about that. It sounds like, when you listen closely, even for this older movie from the 50s, when you listen closely, they even kind of add a little noise in there, like he can't breathe as well, like he's kind of gasping a little bit. It's terrifying. It is absolutely terrifying. And I will tell you, I've seen this movie, this first film, probably 3 or 4 times. I've seen the sequels once. Well, I saw the second one for the second time the other day, but still, I love the sequels more than this film, like I said, but I think this is magnificently shot. I think everything about it is great. It's just a really extremely well-made movie. It's so much fun. It's so scary and eerie, and the atmosphere and building. I will tell you this, compared to the sequels, in my opinion, this film drags after the first viewing. I think the first viewing is fantastic. It's the slow parts kind of get to you more in the second film, or the second viewing, the third viewing, and so on and so on. Just because there's a lot of slower parts. This is a different time. 50s films had a lot more of a slower atmosphere. If you've seen Dracula with Bela Lugosi, I have the same complaint there. I love the movie to death. It's my first Universal Monster film I ever saw. But it really does move slow. And that harms reviewings. Also, in my opinion, it does. It has its issues with the pacing there, but it's fantastic. It's so fun, and it's tense. The tension here, the tension building is just so much fun. It really adds a lot to this movie. It just works in every possible way that it could work. It really works. It's fun, it's scary, it's eerie. The monster's terrifying. He's a threat. He's a bigger threat than a lot of 50s villains, in my opinion. A lot of creature features and stuff. He's one of the biggest threats out there, personally. I love it. I think it's really well made. It's very, very fun. It's not perfect because it is a little slow, but I don't really hold that against it because it's my modern day perspective kind of viewing this older movie that was not really slow at the time it came out. But when I see things like Frankenstein, which is 10 minutes shorter, Frankenstein flies by, dude. I watch it all the time. I love Frankenstein, the first film. I think it's just the perfect Universal Monsters pick. I think it's probably my top 3 movies of all time. I love it just so much. What else is there? And like I said, there's a little bit of a lack of character development, but it is neither really here nor there. In my opinion, it doesn't really bother me that much. But mainly, again, it's people being trapped on a boat in a black lagoon, and this thing is hunting them. And it's killing people left and right. All the time. All the time. It seems like every time it'll kill you during the daytime, too, not just nighttime. You would assume it's just a nighttime creature that's going to come after you at night. No, they don't know the sleeping schedule or anything of this thing. I think if you were going to have any of the Universal Monsters have a remake that could work, or even just be a standalone remake like the Wolfman from 2009 or 2010? Whatever that remake of Wolfman was with Benicio del Toro, which was fantastic. I loved it. Any film in the Universal Monsters canon that deserves a remake, it's Creature. It's Creature from the Black Lagoon. It really deserves it because it would be great. You could do so much with that. Even when I was watching this the other night, or last week I watched the first one, even as I was watching it, I was thinking about all the ideas in my head of how I would remake this if I was going to do it. How would I introduce the creature into wanting to eat people? You don't get to see any of that gore or anything in here, even for a 50s flick. You were seeing it in things like Night of the Living Dead, but you didn't see it in here. It was mostly just described like, oh, only a panther could do something like that, you know, people staring at a dead body or whatever, but they didn't show the dead body. I find it fascinating how incredibly well done this is. Just, it's so shockingly good. I enjoy it so much. I think it's, if you have not seen the Universal Monster flicks, or particularly this one, or this whole trilogy here of creature flicks, I think you've missed out tremendously. I think it's such a good, fun, scary watch. Yeah. Again, the creature suit looks amazing in this particular film. I think it looks a lot better than the other two films, but he's so great here. I love the performance. I love the noise they have. I'm sure it's like a lion or something they have roaring, that they have as his little roar or call or whatever. But it's great. I love it. I think it's so much fun, and it's something I can rewatch all the time, even though it has its flaws for rewatching. It's like I said, the slower parts. But overall, everything is well shot. The directing is really great for an underwater black and white movie. I've never really seen that before until I saw this movie. I've never really seen anything since I've seen this film. I don't know how common it was to see something like that in the 50s. But I think James Bond flicks did that a couple of times when Sean Connery was still James Bond. I'm not sure. I haven't seen but like Dr. No, and that's about it. But that was not very fun. I didn't enjoy that. But even so, Creature from the Black Lagoon, the 1954 classic, if you will, Universal Monsters flick. If you've not seen this, you're missing out. Really fun flick, really enjoyable, really just insane, wild, over the top. Again, these legacy packs, I love them to death. I think if you're a big Universal Monsters fan, these are worth picking up. They have every monster feature that Universal has made with the creature in it. So of course this one only comes with Creature from the Black Lagoon, Revenge of the Creature, and The Creature Walks Among Us, which all three of those films are really good. Really, really good. If I had to rate this film on a 5-star basis, I would give this first film probably a 4 out of 5 stars, just because I think my feelings on it have kind of varied since the first time I saw it. First time I saw it, I thought it was a 5 out of 5, easily. And even for the time, it's still a 5 out of 5. I think it hasn't aged that well, like many films. And most of the Universal Monster films haven't aged that well, but they're still extremely entertaining, still better than most movies that come out nowadays, in my opinion. Even their remakes are better than a lot of movies that come out nowadays. Like the Invisible Man remake and Dracula Untold, I think are some of the best that have come out in like the last 10 years. I love them both. Yeah, not the Mummy. Not the Tom Cruise Mummy. We'll talk about that one day, maybe. Or at least maybe on that other Monsters channel that I'm working on. Anyway, what are your thoughts? Creature from the Black Lagoon. Put your thoughts and comments down below. I'd love to hear what you have to say about this. Again, this is a big influence on Goosebumps, probably. In a lot of ways, I see this in other elements of Goosebumps that I read. And I think it's a huge influence. I think a lot of people that are loving Goosebumps out there, you folks in my audience, I think you'll love this kind of thing. I think it's a really fun, fitting type of thing for our type of entertainment and what we talk about here on the channel. If you've liked the recommendations that I give you typically, you'll love this. I think you'll love this flick. It's so much fun. Even with my little nitpicks I have, which I don't really hold on the film, just kind of its time and so on and so on. Very interesting stuff. At least they did something interesting with the creature and his kind of origin possibly being the missing link thing. I think it's, even though I have my opposition towards that as a Christian, I find it extremely interesting that they went that route and how they kind of go about that. Because I never knew that. I knew about Dracula, I knew about Frankenstein, I didn't know what the creature was supposed to be, I just thought it was a monster, you know? It's interesting they went that route. I thought it was very interesting. Whereas in a modern day film, that would be like the revelation of the movie, you know? Anyway, what are your thoughts? Put them down below. Thank you for watching. God bless you guys. 4 out of 5 stars from me. Can't wait to talk about the sequel in a little bit. I don't know if it'll be anytime soon. I have some cleaning I need to do, so I may or may not talk about it tonight, but we'll see. Anyway, thank you for watching. God bless you. Goodbye.